Hey everybody, it's Casey. I just want to make a video about food. I was thinking earlier today about how I can barely eat and I'll watch other people eat at least twice as much as me and not gain any weight. And I just feel like it's such a struggle. So it just had me thinking about my entire life and how even as a young child, I was a little thicker, I was a little chubby, and not necessarily like, oh, I definitely wasn't obese, but not necessarily like overweight, but I always was, I don't know, bigger framed and everything else than anyone I knew, most people I knew. And I was thinking about back to when, just as an example, when I was younger and my aunt would take me and my cousin to go to Chick-fil-A, and we would always get a meal, chicken sandwich and waffle fries or something like that. And I remember not being able to eat the whole meal, and they were pretty much the same. They would eat most of their meal, but they were tiny. And nothing against them, just that I noticed at a young age, I didn't think much about it until other people would point it out to me. Not them, but just not anybody in particular, but people would start telling me, you need to watch what you eat, you need to exercise more, all these things. And I remember I never felt like I did something wrong until people started telling me I wasn't doing something right. And it really got me to thinking about how we treat each other. I definitely don't make the best of choices now. I choose things that probably aren't healthy all the time. A lot of times. Sometimes. Sometimes a lot of times, sometimes not at all. Sometimes I'm really healthy. Then again, I know people who eat a lot less healthy than I am and are in much better shape. And that becomes very frustrating for me at times. I've learned that you really just can't compare yourself to someone else. People are different. And I never was able to eat what other people could eat and maintain a good weight. Never. I don't like the idea that overweight people have to be getting 2 or 3 meals at McDonald's all the time, or they must be eating a box full of snack cakes or a gallon of ice cream. I've never been that way. Never. There was a time in my life where I weighed almost 450 pounds, and I did not sit and gorge on food the way people perceive you to. When I can remember at my heaviest, and I was in a horrible relationship, and my then spouse weighed 150 pounds, sometimes 160 if he swelled up. He was several inches taller than me, and he could eat, 2 huge plates, and I could not. And I weighed almost 450 pounds. And I'd listened to my doctors tell me how I must not be. Well, no, that's not true. I listened to one doctor tell me how I must not be really accountable for what I was actually eating. I was in denial. It took me seeing my OBGYN in January of 2012, telling me that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, and telling me what a difficult time that was to lose weight because your body does not burn at a resting rate like most people's. And even then it didn't really click, but it took a long time for me to realize that my body is made differently, even though my whole life it's been evident. And I definitely don't make good choices, but what I'm saying is I'm not saying that I haven't done this to myself. I'm saying that everybody else could have done the same thing, depending on the circumstances. What I'm saying is, I've never eaten a whole pizza by myself for all this crazy ideas of what you can eat. I know some people may be that way. I don't know anybody who does that, but what I can say is I have sat many times with friends and watched them eat twice as much as I have and not be as big as I was back in 5th grade. And so this idea that people look at bigger people, I think it's become more known that there's more to weight than just overeating and gorging and all this stuff. But this idea that this shaming, this society's way of looking at big people and acting like, how could you do this to yourself? Or that's so disgusting. It may not be pretty. We may not always be pretty when we're big. Some people are really thin and they ain't pretty either. But the truth of the matter is, it's not a caused thing necessarily. It's not something you do to yourself. I was never, I don't have these hidden issues from when I was younger that caused me to make myself this way. Some people do struggle with things, and I'm not taking away from their struggles. I'm simply saying that sometimes people are made differently and they absorb calories differently. I have to eat very low carb, very low sugar, and watch my calorie intake at that and exercise a very good amount to burn those calories so that I can maintain and hopefully lose. Anything I eat over about 800 calories and I gain weight. Typically, if I don't watch my calories, I eat stuff that I shouldn't eat sometimes, and if I don't watch my calories, I will eat more calories than I realize. I don't realize, and it is about accountability in that way. However, I never eat more than like this idea that you have to eat 10,000 calories to maintain this weight. That is a lie. That is such a lie. It bothers me. When I see those like 600-pound life and they're telling them, now I don't believe necessarily, and I don't know individual stories, but I don't believe necessarily they eat exactly what they say they are. And maybe they aren't accountable or realizing what they eat. But I most certainly don't believe that they are gorging on 10,000 calories or have to maintain that weight, because I have watched myself, even when I don't eat good, and I can, because of my stomach and how small it is, I can't eat 3,000 calories without it being a huge overage for me and gain weight. And most of the time I can't eat 1,500 to 2,000 calories, and they tell me that if I would just eat under 2,650 or something like that, if I just eat under 2,600 calories, I would just massively lose weight. It would just fall off of me. And I'm like, I can't eat that. Like, I can't eat that now. So, we have to be more realistic. We have not more accepting of fat. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? We have to be more understanding that this is not a one-size-fits-all situation. Okay? This is not, you've made yourself this way, now eat this many calories. Or, well, you're this height and you're this weight, so if you eat X amount of calories, you will lose X amount of pounds. Like, I love MyFitnessPal, but if you eat this many calories, you're going to lose this many pounds. That is not realistic for everybody, because my body can eat that many calories and not lose a damn thing. I know. It don't work that way. However, I also have friends who can eat, and they're supposed to gain weight, according to doctor this or app this or whatever. And guess what? They don't, because they have a ridiculously high metabolism naturally. It's like I have no metabolism naturally. I have to work for this shit. And I love when I went into the surgeon. God, it was very depressing to find out all these issues that I have with my stomach, especially after everything I've been through. But I loved when I went in there and he said, "You lost 202 pounds? How did you do that when your sleeve obviously wasn't done correctly?" He said, "You should have only at most with that lost 160 pounds. And he said, "That tells me that you did this on your own." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "It really was a tool that helped me, but I worked it. And since I had the baby and gained a lot and had all those serious issues while I was pregnant and almost died and lost my baby and everything else, it's been hard to mentally jump back in that bandwagon. Not physically, mentally. I've worked out. I've eaten good. I've also self-sabotaged at times. But mostly, you have to forgive yourself that you have something you shouldn't have once in a while. You have to allow yourself to live. And I don't mean gorge. I honestly don't gorge. I don't mean, I can't, like my stomach still ain't made that way, even though it's bigger. I don't mean, excessively do anything. You have to forgive yourself for just living like a normal person, for having a piece of pizza once in a while, for having an ice cream cone once in a while. And the reason a lot of people don't understand people who are big is they've got this idea that, well, I can eat those things and it doesn't cause me any trouble. So if someone's this big, they must be gorging on a massive amount of food. And it's not real. That's only for some people. And I can be honest with you, I can't even recall a time where I've done that. I can recall where I've eaten too much, but I've never ordered 2 meals from anywhere. And I've never ordered a meal and then shortly later ordered another meal. But then again, I definitely have had some, Chick-fil-A sandwiches and French fries once in a while. And I can't eat like that now. I can't even eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich and the French fries now. My stomach cannot hold it. And yet, I can maintain a higher weight. I'm definitely not as big as I used to be. But that 202 pounds changed to 100 pounds, gone, changed to little less than that. And now it's, how do I get back to the 202 pounds and lose that little bit left before I can have my skin removed? And nobody's given me a lot of judgment about it. Nobody's been like, "How could you let yourself do this?" Nobody like that, because they know that they know when I gained and how I gained because of the pregnancy and everything. But I can say that we've got to let this idea go that we see someone who's bigger, or we see someone who's small, and think we understand how it works, because how it works for me is not the same as how it works for you, is not the same as how it works for someone else. And so all I'm saying is you don't have to accept fat, but you do need to accept that people are on different journeys with different struggles, and you can't assume how they got there. Okay? So I'm going to be praying for you guys. Thanks.